Enjoy the present. Because the truth is coming.
Well, this is unique because you and me are watching X-Files for the first time all the way through. And yeah, I mean, to people that have already seen the series and seen the movies and stuff, we finally finished season 5, and now it's time for the X-Files movie.
So is this a video for just the X-Files movie or X-Files seasons 1 to 5?
We should just talk about the X-Files movie, but we can talk a little bit about the X-Files show so far.
Well, for intro going into the movie, what do you think of the show so far? First 5 seasons.
As far as seasons 1 through 5 go, I enjoy the show quite a bit. I think that there's a lot of boring, bad episodes. And I think
now, which episodes are these boring, bad episodes?
There's a lot of them.
But which ones do they tend to be? Are they like random episodes, or is there like a trend that you notice among the bad episodes?
I think the problem is that you look for the monster of the week, and oftentimes the monster's not that interesting.
Yeah.
And not only is it not interesting, but then they take it at an angle that's very bureaucratic almost. And when you do that over and over again, it just becomes like, all right.
We just want the Winchesters to come in here and shoot everything with their shotguns.
Especially also because they have these bigger storylines that they never touch on until Chris Carter comes back and touches on them.
Mm-hmm.
So overall, I like the show, and everything that I like about the show, I think then was like perfectly squeezed into the movie to where we just got the good parts of the show in the movie.
My quick thing about the show is I love the one-off episodes that are good, which are a good portion of them. And then I hate the ones that you said. All of the ones that kind of tail off and don't leave you really fulfilled tend to be the ones I think that are about the main plot of the alien colonization conspiracy. We'll call it the ACC. I don't like those episodes. And that's a lot of the most recent season 5, and that's a lot of the movie. So I guess that's a good segue as any to kind of get into the movie.
Yeah.
It answers a lot of stuff, but you're still left unfulfilled. That's my 2 sentences on it.
The point is that there are a bunch of different conspiracies
all around aliens.
All around aliens and government interference with aliens.
Yeah.
So much so that, but the only
and this movie's about one of them.
Yeah. So you only need to know about one of them, and the one of them is that there's this black goo that gets put into people and they like die or something crazy happens.
Where's the black goo come from?
The movie tells us it's alien blood, but
okay.
The show never does. So before we even go into the movie, we know about this black goo that they put into people. They have these warehouses where they're like tying people to medical tables, like naked.
It's in Russia.
In Russia, and they're dripping the black goo on them. And Mulder eventually gets taken by these people, and he gets the black goo put on him. And I honestly don't even remember how he survives that.
I think it gets negated by Krychek.
Sure, but what the movie then also goes on to explain is that there's a vaccine for this. So we're to let believe, potentially, unless they said in that episode that
Krychek create the vaccine by saving Mulder? That's the thing, is like I feel like the show in general, and this is the show, not the movie, but I feel like the show really downplays big moments.
Yeah. I think with this movie too, like it does a good job of setting up what the goo is, and also there's a vaccine to it, and while also being a continuation of the show. So if you've never seen the show, I think you would understand what's going on with like the goo, but
you wouldn't understand the stakes or why it matters.
Sure, but for us, like even that's not a fulfilling. That feels like they just tag that on to clean things up. Whatever. The point is that this movie is going to be focusing on the goo conspiracy.
So the black goo is like, it's kind of like blood plus sperm, right?
It's not even blood. It's an organism. It's a living organism that goes into your body and then uses you.
But we saw
the
caveman fight an alien.
Yeah, and then but it's made of organisms. That's not its blood. That's just its being.
It looks like blood.
It looks like blood, but it moves like an organism.
So what is it, like puppet these alien bodies? It's like some Prometheus shit.
Yeah. Well, what they introduced in this movie is that aliens were here way before the dinosaurs. They were like in the center of the earth. When the cavemen show up, they fought one of these aliens and they killed it. But then the black goo got into the caveman. But then we cut to then present day where a little boy falls into the pit, like into the ground, and he finds the bones of the caveman, and then there's still some alien goo left over. Then that gets into the boy. And
well, it thaws.
Yeah, it thaws.
It was frozen, and then it thaws, and then it attacks.
Yeah. They are hosting bodies, and the government is trying to I guess, maintain
Yeah, where's
it.
the government figure into this?
Well, they're trying to control it or maintain it and then still use it as a way of doing a mass, like, infection with a disease.
Why?
Control all the stuff that those old white bad guys in suits like to do. They like to get together in rooms. They like to watch a little TV and they like to talk in shadows. No one ever
It's
turns
such
on
a
light.
boring shadow government. Like, I just think, what was that cartoon that was on Netflix that we watched?
Well, it's literally a shadow government because they never turn any lights on in any of those
Yeah,
rooms.
it's always dark. It's always the same old white guys. What was that show we watched on Netflix?
Inside Job.
Inside Job, yeah. That's how you, like, write about a cabal of, like, evil people trying to control the world.
Yeah.
These fucking X-Files guys are milquetoast. And then that's the thing about the movie is that you find out that they're not really, like, proactive. They're just reacting to the alien colonization.
But at least that gives them something. Like, the show always tries to make them scary, and at least with this movie, there was a little bit of a flaw. And just, like, to kind of scale it back a bit, because we can then, like, get into the... Like,
You haven't even talked about Mulder and Scully yet.
I know, we can get in depth of the plot, but just in general, like, I like this movie. I thought it was a good movie. I enjoyed it, and it's because of the introductions of the alien in the beginning with the cavemen, then kind of seeing it to present day. And then it's a continuation of Scully and Mulder being just FBI agents, kind of like, they're there for a bomb. There's a bomb about to go
They're
off.
in, like, the anti-terrorism unit now.
Yeah, and they're just doing their jobs, and, she's giving us some exposition, Scully, if you will.
They've closed the X-Files. There's procedure to be followed now, protocol.
But in general, like, their dynamic throughout the whole movie was just really, I just enjoyed it. So I don't really have any problems with the movie. I think it actually took all the the best elements of the show and found ways to make them more interesting.
That's the thing is, like, to me, all of the best elements of the show are the one-off, not alien conspiracy, not they're shutting down the X-Files. And because all of that stuff was happening at the end of season 5 and now we're doing a movie about it, it's a very glossy culmination of everything that I don't like about the movie.
But
that I don't like about the show.
But don't you think they did a good job just within the movie of taking those elements and actually making them interesting?
That's the
Whereas
thing. I say they polish it.
Okay.
But it's like, I don't care about the alien goo. Like, the fact that they introduced it a year and a half ago. When's that Mulder Krychek Russia episode? Like that felt like so long ago, and we've been watching the show pretty, like, consistently.
Yeah.
So it's like, why are they just now answering that now?
Well, I just think in general I'm being a little easier on the movie because every person that's going to see this movie isn't going to have maybe watched all of the show. Maybe they've only seen a couple episodes. So this movie has to, like, set up stuff.
But that's why it needs to be more so of, like, a one-off.
No.
Than a alien conspiracy episode.
I disagree. And
We've seen every episode. We've seen every alien conspiracy episode, and we're still confused.
I think that this movie is very similar in execution to that of Serenity, for example.
That's a bold claim.
Because Serenity has to set up a lot of stuff. It also has to continue the bigger plots, the bigger points of the plot of that storyline. And then it also has to be its kind of own adventure. And I just think that they do a decent job of that in this. Like, the opening scenes before we even get to Scully and Mulder, they're not, like, bad scenes. And the movie's, like, it's directed well. So by the time we finally got to Scully and Mulder, like, yeah, I mean, they probably could have had those two beats be a little shorter. But like I said, they're well executed scenes. So they help the movie.
Why are we with Mulder and Scully? Like, what are they investigating at the beginning of the movie?
Well, they're just FBI agents now. So there's just, like, a call of a bomb threat and a bomb being in a building, and they're just FBI agents that are just there to handle it.
That's my question is, does that come back at all?
Well, it's the reason why they're there is for that reason, but what they end up discovering or finding out with the bomb going off is that there were bodies already in there. So it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, the X-Files are over, but there's still stuff going on, and because of these characters and who they are, they can't help but to investigate it. And not only that, that very investigation is going to be what clears their name because they get blamed for the bombing.
They don't get blamed for the bombing. They get, like...
Well, they get blamed for the bodies that ended up being in the building after the explosion. So everything's just very clean. It kind of leads into the next thing. And it all kind of, it works for me.
You want to know what's clean? The episode Humbug. You want to watch X-Files, you watch that episode.
I like the Vince Gilligan vampire episode.
That one's good, too.
Yeah. And then just to lead into that, like, then just Scully and Mulder's, like, relationship, how they kind of touch on a little bit of the romance and how much they actually need and care for each other.
They don't touch on it, they tease it.
Well, they tease it, but it's also just paid off a little bit better because...
Do you think they would have hooked up?
If she didn't get stung
If
by
she didn't
that
get
bee.
stung by that bee?
You know what? there's more episodes to this show, and there's more.
You have fan fiction that you want people to read. I understand.
There are more movies and reboots to this series, and I don't want to touch on any spoilers for what's to come. But yeah, I would have liked to see them, share a little kiss. But I like the way that they did it, where they were going to, but then she gets stung.
Do they do the bees in a different episode, or is that new? Those bees that carry the plague.
I feel like they've maybe touched on it in a different way before, but I can't be sure. There's so many episodes.
I know.
One more thing I just want to talk about with Scully and Mulder is that putting them in this position where the X-Files have just been closed, there is no reason for them to be partners anymore. She's thinking about if she even wants to be an agent, if she just wants to go back to being a doctor. It puts them from the beginning of the movie in a tough position because they could separate. Their relationship is tested from the beginning of the movie all the way throughout, to where when they're in the snow at the end and they're like holding each other and he like saves her. I just felt like it was all set up and earned, and it paid off well. Like they have a very good dynamic in this movie, and it makes you kind of want to watch the show. I think it kind of like re-strengthened the whole series for me, this movie.
I was fading away from the show, and it did boost me a little bit, but it's just so much of the alien conspiracy.
But it's directed
the
well.
ACC.
Yeah.
I have a question. Scully's faith-based arc is absent from the movie. You think that was on purpose?
I don't know if that was something that they ever really... I think they only leaned into that because they needed episodes to fill. I think the main like adversity in the show is like science versus the supernatural.
Yeah, but isn't faith just like structured supernatural?
Faith is a version of the supernatural in a sense. So that's why they touch on it in the episodes of the show. But with the movie, the whole reason, and she kind of says this like in the movie, because we got to reintroduce all these characters very quickly, is like, I was only here to dispute you.
The movie is almost like a repilot, because there's like that banter they do at the very beginning. Banter, I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
Is just like exposition for like their whole reason for being together.
But they do the same thing in Serenity with the opening shot.
Yeah, but it's less obvious.
I think it's just as obvious, to be honest. And you have to do it with these movies, but it's how you execute it, right? And this show was always very like talk heavy to begin with. When you direct it well, and the writing gets a little bit better too, like...
Is it directed well?
I think so. I think there's a lot of like really good shots. Like I think of that shot with the kids on the bike. It's like the super wide, and then you have Scully and Mulder across from them, and like there's like clouds in the background and stuff. But it looks good. It's a good shot. Plus there's a lot of really good transitions. And there was that one transition you pointed out where the road's going one way and then the road goes the other way, and then the X-Files sting kicks in, and it's an X.
You should show that footage right now.
I'm probably
really
showing it right now.
It's an X. I paused it during that. I was surprised.
And there's also that really interesting field scene with like the helicopters and like with the beehive, or what do you call that? Like it's like a bee warehouse. It's a place where they store bees. It's like these big tents.
There's a word for it. I can't think of it right now.
Well, I just think like on paper, a lot of these things would seem kind of boring. It's like, okay, they're going to go to a cornfield.
Well, that makes sense because on screen they kind of transfer as boring too.
I don't think so. I think they do a really good job of taking kind of simple things in this movie and then balancing it out with extreme things like an alien ship, but shooting the simple things just as intimidating and scary. And they're when they're like running away from like the bees, like when all the things open up and they're running out, like I kind of laughed. I was like, this is kind of silly. It's just bees. But it was shot well, and I was invested in the story at that point, so...
I was confused because I'm like, was someone operating the thing to release the bees at that moment, or was it just time for them to come out?
Maybe it was just time for them to come out, you know?
There's a lot of that. There's a lot of just me thinking, well, maybe this happens, just to explain inconsistencies in the plot.
Well, the silliest thing about that is that a bee just hides underneath her jacket.
Do they explain why the bees have the disease in them? Is that just how the government's going to transfer it?
Yeah, that's how they're going to do the widespread of the disease, through bees.
What is that? What is that? What is it? Oh, no, not the bees! Not the bees!
These fucking Cabal people, like, they're so boring in the show, and then they're so incompetent in the movie. I really hope they don't come back in, like, season 6, because they're so just irredeemable as bad guys.
Can we talk about Alvin Kurtzwell? He's the conspiracy guy. He's essentially the new Deep Throat that's here to talk to Mulder into investigating something. And that's the thing that like X-Files always does is like
there's always a leaker.
Well, they had the original Deep Throat, and then he got killed,
Mm-hmm.
and then there was a new guy that was helping Mulder, and then he got killed, and then there was a lady, and then she also died. So now we got a new guy, and what they do is they say that this is an old friend of his father's, and that he's kind of disgraced, and he's kind of like a crazy person that talks about conspiracies, and the shadow people say, oh, no one believes that guy anyway, we don't have to worry about that guy. But Mulder has like 4 conversations with them, and they're all in alleyways. And the introduction to this, the first time he talks to him, is right after Mulder's been drinking at the bar. But then he goes to the alleyway, he takes a piss on an Independence Day poster, and then the old guy comes out, and he's like, I gotta tell you something, and he unzips his pants, and then he goes to the wall. He starts peeing next to Mulder, and he's like telling him about...
He's not peeing next to him, he starts peeing after Mulder's done.
But Mulder just keeps standing there.
It's like a power move, I think.
I really wish that every time then when they talked in the alleyway after the fact, he would only talk to him if they were peeing on the wall again together.
It's every time he starts dumping exposition, he just goes and like starts draining the lizard.
Yeah.
You come out here for a reason?
Yeah, I did.
But this guy is really just here to like just get Mulder.
He's a new character.
He's
too.
a new character. He's really weird. And he
just dies.
Well, yeah, he just dies. I mean, he kind of brings Mulder into the plot, or helps, like, because he's the one that tells them about the bodies, or about how to check, like, make sure that, because like those bodies were probably dead before the explosion went off or whatever. But then
that's the thing is Mulder. There's no, you can't call X-Files or even this, especially this movie, a mystery because there's no deduction being done. There's more of a mystery during the Sherlock episodes of TNG than there is during any X-Files episode or this movie, because there is no deduction. It is just a leaker giving information to Mulder, and then Mulder being surprised by it and reacting to it.
What helps that, though, is the stakes within the actual characters, because I agree that like execution of like them being reactive to it is like, yeah, that's a little like lazy like TV show stuff, but what helps it is that the stakes actually matter for them, because they are in trouble with the FBI. They're going to be blamed for the bodies that were in this building anyway. So the fact that they are getting this information, I mean, how they get the information, I agree, is a little weak, because it's just an old creepy guy with his dick in his hand in the alleyway.
Literally.
But it doesn't lessen the actual stakes for the characters, and Scully in particular, about how she wants to leave and then what kind of keeps bringing her back in. They're good layers to why each of them should be invested, and then why we are invested as well.
Why does it matter that they're blamed for the bodies in the building?
Because they were the agents on the scene. I mean, Mulder was the one that found the bomb.
The task force wasn't even looking in the right building. They found the bomb on accident because of like a happy accident. So why then are they pissed off that they got the whole building evacuated sans 4 people?
I agree that it's not fair to Scully and Mulder, but that's why Mulder's so upset too. So that's why, like, if you were in the movie with them and you were like, why are they even blaming us? Mulder would be like, I know, right? But I think Skinner is the one. He's like, well, they got to blame somebody.
Yeah, he literally says that. You know how it is.
You know how it is.
Agent Mulder, you and I both know that if it looks bad, it's bad for the FBI. Blame has to be assigned somewhere.
And the one thing that kind of stinks is that Skinner doesn't really get to have that much fun in this
Skinner
movie.
sucks in this movie.
Well, the one fun thing he does is that he helps Mulder escape the hospital with the 3 science guys.
The lone gunmen.
Yeah, he pretends to like be on the phone and lets like Mulder escape.
Oh, Mulder gets shot in this movie, by the way.
That's what I was going to. So the reason why he even has to escape the hospital is from this really good sequence where Scully goes to Mulder. She's like, I'm out. I'm done. Like, I just did my testimony.
This is the second time she's saying this during the movie. Well,
the first time they were kind of like, she was already thinking about retiring. But then this whole thing came up. And then they investigated a little bit. And then some weird stuff happens. So now she's like,
then she says, I'm out for real.
I'm out for real this time. And then Mulder gives a great speech about how much he needs her in his life, and they're about to kiss.
What's the setting for this? Is this like in the apartment hallway?
It's in the hallway, yeah.
What a great place for a scene like this.
Listen, most breakups happen outside of an apartment, okay? And they're about
This is not a breakup.
This is a breakup. She is going to leave him, and he is desperate at this point because he actually believes that
But they're not even outside the building. They're outside in the hallway.
He knows that she's about to leave, and he's going to do everything he can to keep her to stay. He's desperate at this point. And he like tells her about how much he needs her and how like much she makes him better, and how she doesn't owe him anything. And they're going to go to kiss. She gets stung by the bee, and she like collapses or whatever. He calls the ambulance. He goes outside. They put her in the ambulance. But then when he goes to the driver's seat, it's like
The Shadow Society.
yeah, it's the Shadow Society like bodyguard. Or
And they
whatever.
explain it like the call got intercepted.
Yeah, and well, I think the actual ambulance shows up after he gets shot when he's on the ground.
I don't
Like,
remember
Like
that.
the real one shows up a couple minutes later.
When they didn't kiss, I kind of tuned out. Because I knew they weren't going to for the rest of the
That's
movie.
my point. Is like that's a great sequence in the movie. I like it a lot. You don't.
Well, I'll agree that the sequence is well shot.
Well, either way,
I'm not going to sit here and say Rob Bowman's a bad director. I'm just going to sit here and say Chris Carter's a bad writer.
But the fact that they got to even make a movie of this show, like it could have been so much worse. And I think when we watch the second movie, when we get to that point, maybe that's an example of that. But I just feel like it had everything going against it with this movie. And for the most part, I think they stuck the landing. Like, I mean, it's only got a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes.
That is lower than I thought, honestly.
Yeah, I would give it maybe like a 70 something.
I personally would give it like a 20, but I thought critics would have given
come
it like a
on.
70.
You would not give this movie a 20%. Get out of your ass for once in your life. Like, dude.
It's not like everything about it is horrible. It's just that I really don't like where he jumps off with the premise.
But
I really think that they should
But
have
you're
taken
doing that from the show. This movie has to stand alone on its as well too. It can't just be.
That's the thing, is I think it should have stood more on its own. I think it should have been more of like, they're off the X-Files now, but something happens and it's not alien related and they have to figure out what's going on.
I'll give it to you this way.
Like that, like I don't think it should have connected back to the grand ACC conspiracy. I think it should have connected back to something small. Like, remember when they bring back the empath guy or the pusher guy who can like make people do stuff?
Yeah.
They should have done something like that. They should have brought back a really famous villain or done a more kind of Twilight Zone idea.
But you could make the same argument for Firefly and Serenity, being that the most fun episodes of that show don't even have anything to do with the Alliance, or even have anything to do with the Reavers. But then when they did the movie, it was all about the Alliance and the Reavers.
Yeah.
And if you watch Serenity for the first time without ever seeing the show, no matter if that movie's still fun because of performances, you have no idea what's going on in that movie if you don't have any context for the show. Literally, it is so confusing. And they have to not only set up those characters, but also set up the rules of the world and what's going on, and then go off on their own adventure. Same thing with X-Files. If you never watched the show, but you watch this movie, I think this movie would be way more digestible because it's less crazy stuff. It's a pretty much simple premise of science fiction, government conspiracy, and rogue agent that's going to expose the truth.
I'll tell you what, people who haven't seen the show probably enjoyed the movie more because the alien colonization conspiracy is new. We've been dealing with this since day one for 5 years.
But just because you're fed up with it.
So to an extent, the movie just seems like more of the same. There's like I'm going to guess 20 or 30 episodes, which means like roughly 20 or 30 hours of content around this alien colonization conspiracy. We've got 15 movies worth of content with this idea. And now this movie, The X-Files Fight for the Future, is just more of that. The only exception is now they're honestly answering some of the questions like, what is the black alien goo? But even that, they're not really answering completely. They're just like giving hints. For me, it's all about the payoff. You gotta get that kiss.
No, because
the music has to swell.
But their relationship was never about that. It was more about like a loving connection. And the fact that they were going to take it romantic when they're at their most desperate is a representation of their character. It tells us something about them. By the time where he escapes the hospital and saves her and like, you know, bangs her out of that goo and she's holding him on the ice, even though I thought she was more hurt than he was at that point.
Well, that's the thing, is he saw a UFO, so he fainted because he was so excited.
Yeah, I'm just saying, but it's like, it's by the time they're there, I enjoyed it. And then they have that scene on the bench afterwards where now he's all upset and then she's got to bring him back around. And then they have
I was way tuned out by that point. I don't remember that.
It was great. And you know, they have one really good setup and payoff with their character, just in the way they joke with each other, where Scully pretends that the door's locked and Mulder kind of freaks out on the roof and she's like, almost had you. And then later she's like potentially dead. He brings her back to life and then she goes like, you know, I almost had you. And I'm like, that's nice. But yeah, they have the scene at the bench on the end where, you know, we're gonna continue this together, and she takes him by the hand. Like when you have that scene in the hallway where he's grabbing her, telling her not to leave, and at the end of the movie she's telling him not to leave. Like that's all development. That's all growth. We're starting one place, ending somewhere else.
It sounds like you're praising this movie for being passable.
Yes, they're making a movie based off of a TV show. Like, come on. You know what I mean? And for the most part, they did a good job. Like, there's a lot of movies off of TV shows that aren't good. Here's what I'll tell you. It had a budget of $66 million.
Nice.
And it had a box office of $189.2 million.
That's pretty solid.
Pretty solid. So yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I would definitely recommend this movie to people if they haven't seen it. But then again, this came out in 1998, and X-Files has been over for a while, so. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. You probably not so much.
It's unfortunate because I'm comparing it a lot to TNG right now, just because it's from a similar time period.
Those movies are garbage.
No, I'm not the movies, the show.
I know, but even that's a perfect example of what we're talking about. Those movies suck, and it's based off of a TV show, and they got it completely wrong. This one, at least, not only stayed tonally true to the show, but then cleaned up things that were bad about the show, and then they did continuations.
I'll say that X-Files movie is better than the TNG movies, but I'm looking at the IPs from the perspective of the show. So like X-Files is very much a show where I feel like you can just pick and choose the episodes you want to see, and a lot of them can just be the one-offs, and you'll be completely fine.
Either way, wanted to talk about it because I think it's like a movie that not a lot of people talk about.
Sure.
But, it's interesting. I liked it. You not so much.
You come out here for a reason?
Yeah, I did.